Hello, beautiful people. I am so glad you're here. Welcome to your Spiritual Guru podcast. I'm your host and spiritual guru, Erin. I've been on my own spiritual journey for the past 2 years, and it's an honor to walk beside you as you navigate through your own. This podcast is for anyone who is wanting to do inner work, get more in tune with themselves, heal past traumas, and find their inner power. If that's you, then sit tight because this is going to get deep. You ready? So on today's episode, we are playing a cool game of let's see if my cats can act right for the amount of time that I'm recording this podcast. So I have 2 cats. Usually they're out of the room when I'm recording because sometimes they can get in fights. One of my cats is younger than the other one and they do not get along all the time, but they were both kind of just laying on the bed, and I felt bad for making them move. So hopefully they will behave long enough for me to finish this podcast. Anyway, hello, welcome back to your Spiritual Guru podcast. When this episode drops, it will officially be St. Patrick's Day, which is why I'm wearing my St. Patrick's Day shirt. I actually am part Irish. It's a little, thing you didn't know about your host. I know a lot of people say that around St. Patrick's Day, like, oh, look at the Irish, da, da, da. But I actually am half Irish. So, fun fact. Today, see, he's already trying to talk. Today, we are going to be talking about something that I feel like I should have mentioned a lot sooner than this, probably like after my episode that I released about like the evolution of friendships. Because I never really talked to y'all about how when you're going through your spiritual journey and your enlightenment journey and your self-awareness journey and your love journey, all of those things, when you yourself are elevating, sometimes your friendships and relationships that you've had when you were in that lower vibrational state are no longer they're not going to carry on with you to this new state of being that you're trying to achieve, right? And people can look at it a lot of different ways. So for the person who is growing and trying to, better themselves, they see it as, okay, I'm growing, I want my whole circle to grow with me. At least that's how I was. Like, I want everybody to like be on this level. I want to surround myself with people who are like, progressing in that way. And then on the flip side of that, the people who see your growth, but maybe they're a little bit behind, they could feel left out. They could feel sometimes betrayed. They could feel let down or what have you. And sometimes, you'll hear people say, oh, well, you've changed, or, oh, now you think you're too good for us, or, any combination or anything like that can be said in those instances because, you do kind of become a different person when you are on that type of path, right? And so sometimes if your friend circle or your relationship, if they're not on that same level with you, they can fall off sometimes, but that's okay. I have a story for y'all that I'm going to tell you in a little bit, but I heard something the other day that really kind of, impacted me and stood out to me because the person was saying you can't control someone else's growth. Like, you could be growing at, your own rate and you feel like everybody should be where you're at. Everybody should be learning what you're learning. Everybody should think this way. But not everybody's growth cycle happens that way. And so the story I wanted to tell y'all was a story about my friend Lauren. So Lauren and I met each other through our mutual friend Joanne. Me and Joanne were friends since college. I think Joanne met Lauren maybe a few years after she met me. And then, later down the line, we all kind of like met together and like got to know each other. Me and Lauren developed our own kind of like friendship outside of Joanne. And Lauren is a very free spirit. She's very flighty at times. Just kind of flies by the seat of her pants. She's very ethereal, and everything is about energy and signs and sequences and like all the universe, everything. She's very, very tapped in into that realm. But sometimes it can kind of go off the deep end, right? So this was maybe, I want to say 2 years ago. Me and Lauren had been friends for maybe, I don't know, 4 years at this point. And it was getting to the point where, I was at that state where I had to make a decision. Like, I need to better myself. Like, I can't keep repeating these same cycles. And, me and Lauren would hang out all the time because we were kind of on that same, like, spiritual level, so to speak. And I remember that I would always like talking to Lauren because almost always anything that I said, she would go with it. Like, she would find some deep meaning in it. She would find some way to explain it away. It was like I couldn't do any wrong, right? She was always speaking life into me and, all of that. And I distinctly remember that sometimes if I needed advice, I would specifically go to Lauren for advice because I knew that she was going to like lift me up and, agree with it, whatever I said, instead of going to Joanne, because remember, me and Joanne would call each other out on our bullshit, right? Even if it wasn't what we wanted to hear, we would call each other out. So there were times where I would literally choose to talk to Lauren as opposed to Joanne because I just didn't want to hear what Joanne's what she would probably say. I wanted to be, I wanted the hype girl, right? And so, and I was that way with Lauren as well. Lauren has a very enchanting aura about her. Like, she can speak in a way that like motivates you and gets you to think really deep and find meaning in all of these things. And so there were times where like I would just feed into her realities, right? Whatever reality she was creating for herself, and she would do the same for me. But there came a time where I feel like I was kind of waking up to this reality that I had created for myself. And I was just like, this isn't working. Like, I have to do something about this. Like, this isn't working anymore. Like, I can't keep on with this narrative. But for Lauren, it didn't happen that way. She was still stuck in her reality. And there came a time where, Lauren and we were butting heads more often. Every time that I was hanging out with her, I just felt like I was so drained. Like, it was draining being around her, right? And it was just like our spirits were kind of like just trying to, kind of like magnets. When they're kind of opposing each other, like you try to put them together, but they're like, there's that resistance there. That's kind of what it felt like, between her and I. And I remember we got into this big fight, and the last thing I said to her was, Lauren, if you want to live in this delusion or this reality, I can't remember my exact words that exactly how I worded it. I said, you have every right to do that, but I will not join you there. And for me, that was big because I was making a choice to leave Lauren behind and not take her with me on my spiritual journey, right? I was making a choice to say, hey, this friendship that I had that used to be beautiful and, mutually beneficial and, loving and inspiring and mesmerizing and all of these, wonderful things is no longer serving me in my growth that I want to achieve. And so I have to leave it here for now. And it could pick back up later and it could not. The funny thing is, a lot was happening behind the scenes in the next 2 years that I didn't know about her and she didn't know about me. And she was having her own experiences and she was on her own spiritual journey and her own growth journey and healing and, awareness, all of those things, while I was on my own journey. And sometimes you don't realize that the thing that's getting in both of y'all's way is each other. And if you take your ego out of it and realize, hey, I want the best for this person and I want the best for myself as well, and right now this isn't working, this isn't healthy, and you're able to kind of release that without the attachments, sometimes that can prove to be a benefit to both of y'all, because I didn't know that, she was becoming this beautiful, evolved person, and, she didn't know about me either. But we reconnected, I want to say, probably like towards the beginning of this year, actually, yeah. So about 2 months ago, out of the blue. And it was crazy because leading up to that, to the time that we had reconnected, any time before that, I don't think I would have been able to receive the message that she sent me in a positive way. Like, I feel like I still felt some animosity towards like how things kind of left off and things that were said and things that were done, all of that. But I was feeling very good in the beginning of the year. I felt like I was making decisions that were good for me. I was putting myself first, just continuing, this journey that we're all on. And she reached out to me and, we reconciled and it was great. And then we got to meet each other again. And that's the beautiful thing when you kind of leave someone where they're at, right there in that time of their life. And you love this person, right? It's not like you no longer have any feelings or love or friendship, whatever, with this person. You just realize that right now, where they're at and where you're at are two completely different places. And it's just not compatible anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. And so you leave that person there and you hope that they will grow as well. You hope that somewhere down the line they will start to, grow themselves and put themselves first and be more aware and have all of these realizations and experiences. And it's amazing when it comes full circle and you're able to meet that person again, but a different version of that person, right? It's the same person, like the same being, the same vessel, but it's a different spirit, right? And we hung out for a little bit and it was amazing. She's pregnant now and I'm just like, oh my God, you're gonna be a mom. And it's crazy because I became a mom first and then Joanne and now Lauren's a mom. And it's just the three of us, all like we're connected again and we're all doing great in our lives and we're all good, like we're all moms. It's just everything came full circle. And so I say all that to say, it's not always a bad thing, when you have to make that decision to leave someone where they're at. It's gonna feel very selfish in the moment. It's gonna feel very selfish and it's gonna suck for a little bit, you're going to go back and forth and, ask yourself, did I make the right decision? Maybe I should reach out to them again, making excuses for them, trying to give them the benefit of the doubt. Don't do that. I mean, yes, it is important to give people the benefit of the doubt and, but I think that your spirit knows when something's not right. Your gut, your intuition, call it what you want, right? And just because you have to kind of close that chapter with someone doesn't mean that it has to end on bad terms, right? We were so close. Now they're like clawing at the door, ready to get out. All right, I'm almost done. Can y'all give me a minute? Okay. It doesn't mean that it has to end on bad terms. You can end, just being on the same page and saying, look, but then again, you don't really have that much control over how the other party is going to accept it. But usually with me, if it ends on a bad note, I just end up blocking people on everything. And so then it's like, good luck contacting me or saying anything negative anymore. Like, I'm not going to see it. So that's how I handle things. But, maybe that's not the healthiest way or the right way to do it. But that's what helps me, because for me, I don't have enough control or, discipline to like have access to somebody that I know I should not be talking to and like not talk to them. Like I'm always trying to like fix things or have the last word or have the last say. And so I just have to block everybody out and just be like, okay. But yeah, that was kind of my message that I wanted to share with y'all today, because I feel like sometimes we hold ourselves back and hold other people back from their growth journey because we don't want to lose friendships. But I want y'all to understand that sometimes holding on causes more damage than letting go. And just because you've let go does not mean that you can't pick back up later down the road, right? So, Sparky agrees. My cats are ready to get out of this room. I hope y'all have a happy and safe St. Patrick's Day. Have fun celebrating, and I will talk to y'all next week. Until we meet again, namaste.